integrating the community layer into your Jira project. Again, thank you for attending and then joining. I hope that I met your expectations. I will meet your expectations. But before I start, let me tell you something, a few words about Aptis. We're a company from Germany, North Rhine, lower North Rhine. This is important. That's the team. And as you see, we like these comic style figures. And we're a server solution partner since 2015. And we're a marketplace partner since 2015 as well. We have started with providing apps to the marketplace, including Epic Summer, which is one of our flagship. And you will see something about that in a few minutes. So that's enough about the company. So now let's start with the basic topic, integrating the community layer. What does that mean? So if you do project management, Jira is intended to be a project management tool that includes a lot of stuff that you can do with it, but there's still some gap in communications where you have to leave Jira, or where people do leave Jira and have the communications outside of Jira. And this could sometimes be a problem. Let's assume you go to vacation, or something happens, you get ill, and someone else has to take over your project. And then there's a problem because you might be not able to include all the information that you need. And so that was the idea why we started thinking about how can we use Jira and integrate the communication layer into it so that you have everything just inside in one project. So first of all, if we talk about the Jira project, we use issues as projects. So sometimes there's a miscommunication. Jira uses projects as the name project in Jira is not really a project, it's more a configuration container. If you need a project, then you should need something like a lifecycle. So we started very early in using issues as projects, in that case, epics. And after some time, when Jira improved, that there were more structural things that could be added over time. So if I'm talking from of a Jira project, then I'm talking about an issue. So an issue as an entry point, so the top of your project, which represents your project. That's what I'm talking about. So, but what are the parts of a project which are in Jira? So if you think of a project, you have that issues that are part of it. Let's say you have several tasks that you can assign to your operational team or whatever, and each task is maybe separated from the other ones. And so by doing that, you can have a lot of independent tasks which are combined to your project. If you think like epics and stories, it's quite the same. It could be a project or a subtask or a task of a project as well. So this is already in Jira, and it's quite easy to have everything on site. The next thing that is part of a project is something like plans and documentation. So this can be done by connections to Confluence, which is quite common, but could also be links to other documentation areas or tools or whatever. So the idea is that from the project issue, you have a connection to everything that you need, so that you can reach all the information with a few clicks only. The next part is you might have attachments in your project, artifacts like contracts, signed proposals, invoices, whatever, that can be stored in the project somewhere in your project issue hierarchy, but you have everything inside. Sorry. The next is comments and chats. So if you talk to your team or you write an update, you're working on an issue, you might write, so I've done this, I'll wait till next week, then I do that. Or ask a friend or a colleague, how can you do this? Or can you help me? Or assign and leave a comment. And so that's also already in Jira, and that's not a big problem because everything is on site again. But what's with the emails that you have exchanged with your customers? So what we see is there's a lot of people that are doing email communication outside of Jira. So they use the inboxes from Gmail, Outlook, and yeah. And this is something that made us okay. this is something, this is strange because that's sometimes the most important information. If you're talking to your customer and you have the email somewhere outside of Jira, there's just no easy way to integrate everything into your project. So what's the problem with that? If you have the project as your entry point and you hand it over to someone, there's maybe a lot of information, especially from the external stakeholders, that are missing. So you have to take care of, if there's an email, copy the content to it, or change dates, like due dates or something in the Jira project. But you don't have the communication in Jira. So I assume that most of you already integrate the emails into your Jira project. But if not, I can show you how to do that. So if you think of your project, how can you move external communication into it? The idea is that from several inboxes, moving the communication email threads into your Jira assigned to the particular issues. So the project manager of the project has other topics to discuss with the customer than maybe a developer who has some questions about some requirements to a certain story. Or if you're not working in a software development area, maybe you have requirements to whatever task it is, and you can communicate, or you should communicate and have the communication right at the site and the part where the issue is, so that the threads are part of the issue. Best would be in a comment thread, of course. So how can you do that? Jira has some basic email communication functions. You can send emails, but they're not very handy, and it's not nice if the people from the outside, you don't have control over the view, the CI, and how the emails are sent, and it's very limited because the sharing function of Jira is done by email, but it's not very comfortable. So one thing could be extend your Jira capabilities by adding a tool like Jetty or GemH. I think, or I assume a lot of it's well-known add-ons that are quite common use, and I think that's the most common ones. And if you do that, and I show this in a few seconds, if you do that, you can use Jira as some kind of your inbox, and you can send your emails just from the issue and expect the responses to be part of the comment thread. So you have everything which is related to your certain issue as a comment in that one. So it's the Jira tree of issues from a project become like a topic tree, which contains the email communication. So how do you get through it? So I think if you have ever tried to search for a particular phrase in a comment, or you assume that you have a list of 100 issues and you're looking for a particular comment, it's a little bit pain in the ass to find the right one, because you cannot have the right search entries, and you have to do some fuzzy search, and it's not very easy to do that with the issue navigator. And so we thought, okay, there must be a better way to do that. And so we added the overview of comments into Epic Summer in the summary panel. And what we do is we collect all the comments from all issues on your complete project and put it into one large comment thread, which is now searchable and organizable. Okay, so how does that look like? Let me show this. I have prepared that one. Okay, I preloaded the page, so I don't know what it. This is when you do Zoom streamings, the page load is very slowly. Okay, so assume this is a project. In that case, it's a release, but the release is something else, like quite similar to a project. And let's look at it. So we have several issues in it, and the issues contain other issues. So it's a tree of issues with different demands. Or let me show it on this one. So like this, you have a lot of issues, and every issue may have its own comment thread. So its own communication with some stakeholders, internal, external, or whatever. And if you, for instance, searching for some particular comments that are added to one of these issues, that could be really a long ongoing task. So what we did is we added this comment overview to our Epic SumUp. And if you click on that, you have all the comments right here in one large thread. So if I sort it, I have it from ordered by time. I can unfold them right here like this. And then I have the comments. I can just jump into it. And if I'm searching for a special one, let's say this. Okay, that's a too common use case. Let's take another one. Custom field is good. Like this. So then you find the right comments just by the searches. It's still too much, right? But if you remove it, yeah, it gets. So this is an on-the-fly search for all the comments just in one. And what you can do, you can group them, let's say by issue, and then you can see all the issues and the comments beyond that one. If you expand everything, you have a large, very large comment thread with all the comments of your complete project. And this includes the email communication as well. If you use Jira as your inbox, a threaded inbox by issues. Yeah, to find out, for instance, who has done added which comment, you can group them by author. You can also group them by date, but this is not very helpful in that case. So this is the way to very easy find the particular comments you're looking for. And then you can interact with the people. And that of course, if you then use the email function, which is this one, I preloaded that page already too. We are using Jetty in that case. So you can, as it looks like a standard regular email function, you can send the emails right away just from your issue. And then add the attachments, write some text. You have email templates, and yeah, and you can send to CC, BCC, whatever, external emails, internal emails. That's also no problem. And every email communication will be added as comments to your system. And so by doing that, you can very easily find everything. Of course, this works in the cloud as well. So I switch over. This is Epic SumUp in the cloud, and in the cloud you have the same. You have also these comments right here, the comment threads, which is working over hierarchies and a lot of issues at once. So if I'm searching for Easter, for instance, then yeah, we have this Happy Easter Bunny. Which is one of our newest creations from the robot collection. Okay, so that's the demo. And what's the opportunity for that if you work like this? If you think of a project, it becomes some kind of a package because you have everything in your package. You have all the tasks, you have all the documents, all the attachments, you have the complete communication inside, outside, you have the plans, milestones, whatever. And of course, it is these tools are interoperable with other plugins as well. So your project becomes a package that you can hand over, and you can do this in minutes instead of doing big migrations and long meetings to think, hey, this is this email and they have said that. You have everything just inside, so hand over without headaches. We are so used to that way of working, so that that sometimes sounds strange if there's people that need a lot of time to hand over a project. So this could be a part of a few minutes just. Okay, for now, again, I have, how do you set this up? So this is some kind of a small blueprint. How do you set this up in your Jira? First of all, you should use Jira issues as projects, as they have have a life cycle, and you can do all this automation stuff as I explained before. Then the second thing is you should enhance the email functions of your Jira. You can do this by plugins like Jetty or GemH, or maybe there are some others. If someone knows another good tool to do that, I'm happy to get your response to this. Then you can add, make Jira your email inbox. Make Jira your email inbox. This is some kind of a policy that you do in your company. As soon as you see the advantages of that, I'm pretty sure that a lot of people will do this automatically, but you have to take care that the people do not, or try not to communicate outside your Jira. But if they do, you can BCC the emails maybe automatically to Jira again, so that they become issues, or if they are related to some issue keys, they become comments very easily. This is something that we also do if the people that we are talking with are related to. So if someone is changing the topic, for instance, and on the reply, so we have to send it then to Jira, and it will be added automatically. Yeah, and of course, improve working with comments so that you can handle the mass of comments that are hidden in a lot of issues at once. And that's it. So that's the short blueprint with it. Yeah, to do all this. So what we are actually doing is we are writing some kind of a white paper that explains the benefits, advantages, and how you can do that. And if you're interested in reading that or getting a copy of that, just reach out to me. That's my email address. There is another thing that I would mention is we have created an ebook about lean project management, which is less is more. How can you work with Jira without very big tool chains, just with some smaller things, and put them together to not have that much. And there's a lot of smaller tools that you combine, very smart. And that's the ebook to that. If you're interested in that, reach out to me or follow the link. Yeah, of course, Epic SumUp can do a lot more. You might have seen this. So this is not just about comments and attachments. We have the summary panel, we have the detail view, and we have some dashboard gadgets that support you in doing project management in this way. And of course, at last, I would like to wish you some happy Easter. And I'm very open, and hopefully you get me some feedback about the content or whatever you want to tell me. I'm very open for a connection.